Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Kay, and today I'm going to be telling you guys how to get a job as an EMT, and that includes interview tips. Alright, so stay tuned. Alright, so I've been getting a lot of comments lately with people saying that they either passed the NREMT or they're in the process of taking it. So it's NREMT season, and I know that once you pass your exam, you're going to want to find a job as an EMT. So I'm going to tell you guys all about my experience with finding a job as an EMT, and also some interview tips for when you actually land an interview. Okay, so first things first. You want to make sure that, before you even get to the point where you're taking the NREMT, and when you're in EMT school, when you're doing your ride-alongs, you want to make sure that you're doing ride-alongs at companies that you would want to work for. So this is your time to really do like a tester and see which companies you like the most. So there were 2 companies in my area that I was interested in, and I did my ride-alongs at both companies. So I did one at each company initially, and then when I found that I liked one company more, I did the rest of my ride-alongs at that company. So I had to do 3. So I did 2 at the one I liked and 1 at the one that I was considering. Now, one company, I decided, okay, I'm not working here. Like, it was my backup plan, but after doing the ride along, I'm like, there's no way. I mean, they had like cockroaches on their ambulances, and also I got to hear what their EMTs thought about the company. So that's the benefit of doing those ride-alongs, because they were just talking a lot of trash about the company, and they basically told me not to work there. So I'm just like, okay, it's not gonna happen with this company. So I decided, okay, I want to work at this other company, and I got better responses from their EMTs. I mean, of course there's always going to be a few that are like over it, but for the most part I got better responses from the company that I actually worked at. So I had my eyes set on that company. So during EMT school, you want to make sure that during those ride-alongs you are getting your ride-alongs with the companies that you want to work for. So that's number 1. Okay, so the second thing that you want to do is get business cards. Okay, so when the representatives come and talk to you at your school, you want to make sure that you get their card and introduce yourself. Okay, so this is all about networking, because then when you call the company, you can say, hey, I spoke with so and so at school, and I wanted to see if I can meet with them, or talk to them on the phone or whatever. So that way you have some kind of contact at that company. So that's something that you really want to do. Get to know people's names. That way it'll make it so much easier for you to get in contact with them in the future. Okay, so the next thing that you want to do is make sure that you have a really good looking resume, because we know that oftentimes a good resume can mean the difference between getting the job and not getting the job. Okay, and I do have some tips on how to write a really good resume. I'm going to put the link up here. And you also want to consider writing a cover letter. Okay, so I wrote a cover letter, and I basically explained why I love the company. I talked about, my ride along, and just told them about my experience with the company and why I want to work for them. And, this cover letter can put you a step ahead of someone else, because they're seeing that, okay, this person really wants a job. So definitely write a cover letter. Don't be lazy, okay? Look up examples online, and just, tell them why you want the job. Okay, so after you've worked on your resume, you want to also get a nice professional outfit. And if you're a woman, you get a blouse and, a skirt or some pants. And if you get a skirt, not too short, okay? Don't get a short skirt and try and go into this interview to win them over, because you want to be respected, okay? I mean, it's hard enough as a woman to get respect in this field because it is male dominated. So you definitely want to present yourself in a respectable manner and command respect from the person that's going to interview you. Okay, and as a man, you want to just wear a button-down nice shirt and some professional pants, and of course closed-toe shoes for women and men. And you want to just look presentable. Okay, so after you get all of that situated, the next thing that you're going to want to do is actually apply. You know, you want to put in your application to the companies you want to work for. I put in the application to the company I didn't necessarily want to work for, and also the company I wanted to work for, because I was at a job that I didn't really like. I was working at a store, and I'm like, okay, I just graduated college and I just want to get up out of here and have a real job. So I just applied to the company I didn't want to work at and the company I wanted to work at. Both companies where I did my ride-alongs. And of course, the company I didn't really want to work at called me first. And, you know, I was like, oh gosh, you know, but I went in, I did the interview, and, you know, it went well. And then they offered me the job. But then I was like panicked, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't really want to work here. You know, I want the job, but I don't really want to work here. So what I did was I called up the company that I wanted to work for, and I didn't get them, so I went in person. So I got all dressed up, you know, I wore my professional outfit, and I went in and I asked to speak to the hiring manager. So I met with her and I was like, you know, I really love your company, and I got an interview at somewhere else and they're offering me the job, and I really, really want to work for your company. So is it possible for me to interview here? And she actually said that, you know, she was actually going to call me that weekend, but she just didn't get a chance to get to it. So, you know, she said, let's just do the interview right now. So, you know, it's one of those situations where you always have to just, you know, be ready, because I really didn't expect them to say, let's do the interview right now. But since I already had an interview recently at the other company, I was well prepared, because I actually did mess up on a few things with that interview, but, you know, I went and studied, and this time around I was prepared. So, you know, she had me meet with the not the hiring manager, but the quality assurance manager, and he interviewed me for the job, and it went well. He gave me a scenario, and, you know, he asked me, like, what would you do in this situation? So basically, I think he asked me about someone with an anaphylactic reaction. He said something about they have really bad allergies and something about their airway. So, you know, I'm like, okay, this is an anaphylactic reaction. So then, you know, I told them that I would give the patient epi, you know, and then I told him how I would administer it. And then, you know, he asked me what would the reaction be, like, you know, what's a side effect of epi. And of course, you know, epi makes you tacky, so I told him that. And, you know, he asked me a few other general interview questions, and, you know, I went about my day, and then they told me, like, that weekend that I got the job. So sometimes you have to, like, you know, go in person. You know, that's like a bold thing to do, but if you do go in person and someone's actually willing to see you, you got to make sure that you're ready, okay? Because I really thought all we're gonna do is talk about setting up an interview, but they gave me an interview right on the spot. Okay, so definitely be prepared if you make that bold move, but, you know, if you really want something, hey, you got to go out the way sometimes. But if you don't do that, once you do your application, you want to wait at least 1 week and then you want to call to, you know, ask them, did they receive your application? And basically you're just telling them, I'm alive, I'm here, I really want the job. That's really what that call is about, because we know they got your application, you know. So you just want to call them, say, you know, I just want to see if you got my application, and, you know, when can I expect to hear from you about this position, you know, or when can I follow up? You know, ask some questions like that, because you don't want to keep calling them over and over. So it's best to just ask them, when should I follow up with you guys? Or when are you gonna make a decision? So those are definitely good questions to ask. And so after that, you know, it comes the wait. You know, it sucks waiting, but sometimes that is what you have to do. All right. Okay, so let's go over right now some typical interview questions that you would get asked as an EMT. Okay, so you want to know the classic interview questions, and you can watch this video to just review some classic interview questions for any job, really, like especially healthcare. That one is for the hospital, but it may help you with just general interview questions. But also you want to know typical interview question in addition to team related interview questions. So that's how would you deal with someone who has different ideas than you? How would you feel working with a partner for 12 hours? What if you guys get into a fight? What would you do? Like, you know, things like that, because really, like, teamwork is very important in EMS. You're going to be working with police officers, firefighters, your partner. You're going to be working with a lot of different people, so you do have to work as a team, and they want to know that you can handle, you know, conflict, and that you're not going to just get into a fist fight with your partner if anything goes wrong. So you want to make sure that you can handle those questions. And I think a great approach is always saying that you're a great communicator. You know, you can communicate about the problem, tell your partner your ideas, and listen to their ideas, and then come to a solution. That's always a great strategy when dealing with conflict. Also, you're going to want to brush up on your meds. You know, you want to know when to give your meds. So the indications for that medication, you want to know the contraindications, so reasons not to give the med, and also possible side effects and the dosage. So you want to know all those meds that you learned in EMT school. So make sure you brush up on that, and make sure you brush up on your different bandages. So when would you use an occlusive dressing versus a trauma pad? You know, so definitely brush up on that. And also in both interviews, they asked about the different types of assessment. And one person actually asked me to do a focus assessment on a skeleton. Okay. I thought it was a little weird, but I was like, okay. But you have to brush up on the difference between the rapid assessment, you know, that's when you have a patient that's unstable, or like a trauma patient, and a focus assessment, which is when, you know, you're in the truck. If you have extra time, you do that, or if the patient is stable. So know when to use the different types of assessment, and just know what you're checking for when you're doing those assessments. With these interviews, like, you really don't know what they're gonna ask you, and I wouldn't go into a deep study session, but I think if you pretty much like study the meds, the different types of assessments, you know, the different kind of dressings, I think you'll be okay. And it would be nice if you can get an interview directly after EMT school. Well, not EMT school, after you've completed your NREMT. That the quicker the better, because the information is going to be fresh in your head. So you want to make sure that you're not taking too long to apply to these jobs. Also, you're going to want to do a follow-up. You know, if you haven't heard from the job after the interview, like I said, always give it at least a week. You don't want to call the next day for anything. Like, don't call and say, I applied yesterday, I'm checking out my application. Just wait at least a week. You know, you don't want to be too desperate. You want to be someone who wants a job, but don't come off desperate and annoying, okay? All right, guys, so those are my tips for getting an EMT job. I actually think getting an EMT job was a lot easier than getting a hospital job as a tech. So, you know, if you pass your NREMT, you should be able to get one within a month or two afterwards. You know, you gotta be persistent, and if you want something, you gotta go hard for it. So make sure that you're following up with the companies, showing them that you are interested. You're making sure that you have a really good resume and a cover letter to show an extra amount of interest. And also, you want to make sure that you're presentable. So dress right, you know, make sure you're looking good. And also, you want to make sure that you study a little bit before the test. Just review those things I talked to you about earlier, and you should be good to go. All right, so that is my video for you today. Good luck, and make sure that you comment below if you get an interview or you get the job, and you know, you can put your tips below also. So make sure that you keep up with me with, you know, what happens with your career, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.